Thank you. Thank you. You can put the lights on so that. Great. Hey, tell your neighbor he's back. So, and I can see the church is full. So that means at least I did not burn the house last time. So at least I think today I'm a bit used. I'm not as nervous as last time. So we're going to have a good time. And now you have just done a setup. The principal is around. Now the owner of the school is around. Now I have to be behaved. Yeah? Pastor Kiama, now, while you are away, I was set up. So I'm here. But nevertheless, we are here, and I'm happy to be here. My name is Sam Kibara. I am happy to be back here for the second time to talk about money. Now, I need to give a cautionary remark. You know, is that what they call it? Cautionary remark. I'm not talking about money because I have lots of it. Copy that, okay? It's not. I'm not talking from a position of experience, but there's something that Richard Branson said, especially, and I feel like that statement was being used for Christians. You know, there's this thing we keep saying that money is not everything. So you tell your neighbor, money is not everything. Money is not everything. But this is what Richard Branson said. Richard Branson said, money is not everything. Fact. But before you make such a foolish statement, have some of it. Now, before we are preaching from the Bible, okay? So, yes, so I'm married to Wahu Kibara, and yes, she's not here. We had another invite somewhere, and my daughter, we have two daughters, Samantha and Saraya, who are 15 and 13, and we come to this church from the last 6 months. But before then, we have been in Mavuno. We have been going to Mavuno Mashariki. We were in Nairobi Chapel when Kiama was an intern. Was it? Were they being called interns or what? That one, you know? So I'm just trying to... So for those who were there last week, I was wearing a jacket. I was wearing a serious jacket. And when we walked out here, someone told you, when we saw the way you are dressed, we knew the generation you are coming from. So today I tried, See, I look like I'm with it, something, yeah? So I'm still trying to get used because me, I'm from the Presbyterian Church of East Africa. That's where I was actually brought up. There, when I'm called, if you go without a tie, they get a tie for you. But here Papa Kiro, you see. Yeah, so anyway, we are talking about money. We have a question for you. Because when we talk about the subject of money, money is a spiritual thing. We have said that. It is important to God. How we interact with money is important to God. And we actually said that if we brought all your receipts, they will tell us what kind of a Christian you are. His receipt is a quick mat. That is a quick mat that has come next to you. That one. The one you go. The one you love their donuts. Those ones. My daughter loves the donuts from Quick Mart. I don't know why. But anyway, that one. If you bring those receipts, they begin to tell us. How is your Christian work? So, what's one thing would you do differently if you went back to your childhood with your current knowledge of money? So we have been going through this whole series on when the going gets tough, and we are really talking about the financial principles that would help us to thrive in uncertain times. And we have looked at the basic finance principles that would work when you are in the kingdom, and you would end up thriving. So the first thing we looked at, the very first week, is just looking at our position. And what is our position? Our position is that it's God who owns everything. We are just the managers. So he owns it. I do what? I manage it. So that was the first week. Then the second week, we looked at the entrepreneurship principle. And this one talked about us being creators in partnership with God. We were created to be creators. And we say, don't look for a job. You look for a problem too. When you solve the problem, people will do what? Pay. So the thing is, don't go looking for business ideas. Look for problems. Solve them. Money will follow. Then the third week, last week, we talked about the retention principle. We said there is no way you can eat everything. When you harvest and you eat everything, you're even including the seed. And we saw from the passage that we read, I went slowly through that passage. Na tukaona majina zingine, some other names that were being, those evil people, simply because they did not invest money. They did not multiply. There was no retention. And we said, we need to retain something. We even said that as we do our messagerial job, that one passed. The messagerial job is your job. You are paid by your employer, then you pass that money to the owners. Yeah, you ask, how much do you pay? How much do you earn? Me, I earn 400,000. 400,000. Have you ever seen 400,000 in your bank? Of course no. Because by the time the money is landing in your bank, 120 has gone to KRI. So, unasema you earned that 120, how? You did not even see it. You saw it on a paper, printed. Our paper is called payslip, written on top here. Or told, but before it gets to you, 30%, 120 or 400, imeenda. So you only get 280. Now when the 280 runs, what happens? Oh, landlord, even if they are not around, even if you don't know them, you look for their account to place the money. You are a messenger. You just picked the money from your employer and rushed quickly before 5th. And you are paid on 31st. You rushed before 5th to deposit the money. And then you came back, said, hey, there is a car I took on loan. That money belongs to someone. You rushed. By the time you are finished paying people, using money that was allegedly yours, you have nothing. No retention. So we agreed for the retention principle. When someone asks you, how much do you earn? What shall be your answer? What you save. So from now on, you have a new answer. So don't tell people about this ornamental figure on a paper that you have never touched. It is not your money. So we are not going to talk about why that was done. If you do the history of employment, employment came a little after the abolition of slave trade. So you go read why it was done the way it was done and why you came to believe you earn 400. So we were talking about the Bible. So now we are on to the fourth principle. The fourth principle is the multiplication principle. Multiplication. Now, some of you know the addition. So you know body mass. You know the addition. You know what else? Subtraction. Subtraction, that one we all know, isn't it? Subtraction is easy, isn't it? Then we also know division. Now we want to think about multiplication because that's the key thing. Multiplication. Now, last year when we were doing the Vaccinate Your Money series, I was invited by Mavuno South Network to discuss about saving and investment. And we are going to do that thing here. We are going to do it. So talking about debt and all that. So when we reached the point of investment, I did something that was not very, I don't know how it was, but I said, it's important to waste knowledge, isn't it? It's not good to waste knowledge. It's not good for you to listen to me and then this knowledge is not going anywhere. So I said, if you have nothing saved, you go to that corner. If you have up to about 100,000, stay here. If you are about 1 million, now stay on this side. Now, of course, you know how difficult that conversation, it was a very difficult conversation. But you see, it is not good to waste knowledge because I should not be talking about investing millions. And you are thinking about how to get out of debt. It's not fair. We need first to, get out of the water, the head out of the water. Then at least now we can discuss. But so that's the conversation. We need to talk about that conversation because the investment aspects for one with millions and the one who is trying to get out of debt, okay, that one is not investment, but anyway, it's investment in time, okay, yeah. But we need to get to a space where we begin this journey somewhere. And that's why we want to talk about the multiplication principle. But I want to put it to you. If you have no retention, if you have not kept aside some seed, what are you going to put down so that it can multiply? So this is a continuation. And we were able to look at a passage in Luke. And even before we look at the passage in Matthew, because it's the same passage, but today I want us to look at Matthew because we dwelt on Luke last time a lot. And it was good. And I believe I did a good job in making you feel bad. So today, I thought there were some new things from Matthew. So I went to Matthew, so that's what I will be sharing. But before that, I want to go back to where it all began. When you see something in Genesis, it means this thing has been there since time began. And the thing I want to borrow is Genesis 1:27 to 28. This is when we were, creation story. And I want to just say that the multiplication principle has been with us since the creation story. And this is what it says. So God created mankind in his own image. In the image of God, he created them. Male and female, he created them. So man and woman were created. God blessed them and said to them, be fruitful and increase in number. Okay. You may want to think about that just being producing more children. But let's look at what it says in the next statement. Fill the earth and subdue it. You see, filling the earth, in our context, we don't have to, of course, I'm not saying it doesn't mean other people. It says that we were created for multiplication. Your very purpose of being created by God is for multiplication. So when you go through stagnation, that is not the plan of God. And so, God's master plan is not for us to stagnate. So as we conclude, we looked at the story of the 10 people given the minas. We even looked at the minas, and we looked at the 3, because the 7, we don't even know what happened. And we said that in the Luke passage, Luke was very, very categorical. He wanted to correct some wrong interpretations and doctrines that were there within the God's people. And so, as we look at Matthew, it's also good to understand. Matthew is the first book in the New Testament. One of the things that you find in Matthew is that even the way of writing Matthew, it borrows a lot from the Old Testament. What Matthew was doing was to confirm God's redemption plan. As in, these things, the promises that had been given to the kingdom to the kingdom of Israel that were being given then, they were being, the coming of Christ was confirming the redemption plan. So, when Matthew was writing, his context was in such a way that he was trying to prepare the people to be ready for redemption. So, when he gives his story, we see it's the same story, but he gives it with, are you ready for God's redemption plan? So as we read this together, we are going to be borrowing from Matthew 25, from verses 14 to 30. And I'll read. Again, now, from last time you realize I like the semantics. Now, how do you start a sentence with again? Isn't it? You want to ask, so there must be something before that. So it suffices for us to actually just go and find out what was happening, what was the story that was before this. The story that was before this was the story of the 10 virgins. 5 who are ready, 5 who are not. And the last verse 13 says, therefore, keep watch, because you do not know the day or the hour. So that was the lesson. Keep watch. You don't know the day or the... Then he said, again. So again, it is like to stress the preparedness. It is preparedness for what? The redemption. And so we are looking at it today and we're asking the same question. So here is the parable. Again, it will be like a man going on a journey who called his servants and entrusted his wealth to them. So Matthew does not bother trying to talk about the noble. You remember in the Iruk's passage is talking about a man of noble origin. Remember, it's a story. You see, it will be like. He's talking about the kingdom of God. Even last time, it will be like. So because the people could understand the story of the noble, of this governor who is going to go away and come back as a king, because that was the practice of the Jewish, then here, now that is not important. The people here will understand that it is like a man going on a journey and he leaves his wealth to people. Then we go ahead. To one, he gave 5 bags of gold. To another, 2 bags. And to another, 1 bag. So, last time we talked about Burugo. Do you remember? So, today Burugo has gold. Burugo is like a sack with some goodies inside. That's what you call a burugo. When you see it, like when you look at the matatus, they are carrying a lot of luggage. So, it's a bag with something. So, here we are. So another 2 bags and another 1 bag, each according to his ability. So the master knows. The master knows our ability. That's why you are in a job, you are earning this much. Another one is in a job earning this, so you're just looking and saying, if only I can get a job like Papa Kiru. Hiyo pesa yote anaweka kwa mfuko, hiyo pesa yote. They earn that much. You have been given according to your... And please, not, isiyo mimi nimepeana jobs, it is God. It is the master. He's the one who actually orders. That's why, and we learned last time, that when guys are asking, you're giving this guy another mina, he has 10. We learned that God does not obey the law of equality. And so, each according to... So, I tell your neighbor, the job I have is according to my ability. Just to remind yourself that, so your prayer should change. That God help me increase my capacity so that you can give me more responsibility and you can entrust more. But we are looking at you with the ability we have. Who you to compare? See, we talked about the guy from Mokoro in the last time. A guy who you put resources in his hands, the next thing is some funny appetite. I'm, is it gluten? From where we came from, who had that bread had something called gluten? As we knew about bread, bofro, you ate bread. So this thing about gluten, those are things, there are things that come with your level of, have you seen those things that go around in social media that says, kama unagojeka, you get some serious, some serious? You say that, things like there's no, where's gojeka hypertension? Do you know what is hypertension? Uko tu na shida ya pesa, hauna hypertension, so yeah. So unaikienda sana ni blood pressure, inaishia hapo. But as you go around now, you start telling us you are suffering from some funny things, your appetite. We talked about the guy who is saying that I go twice to the Irad because they have very good massage, those kind of things, God, so with the retro you have been given, you are not even retaining the seed. Now how will you be entrusted with more? The way someone, you have never borrowed money from me, so what I do, I just give a retro, I see whether they are going to be faithful. So that's what happened to you. Then, I want more. It's like, surely, what happened to, you were supposed to return last week. Oh, last week. Now, that's your attitude. And you are busy saying, nikipata job ikona pesa mingi, a job with lots of money. I'm going to be tithing. Papa Kiro will actually, atakuwa nasikia mtetemko tu nikitithe, I mean, that's the kind of, you will not get there, you won't. You're not faithful with the literal. Tunarudi kwa Bible. I said I carried a physical Bible because if I was reading from my phone, you might think that I am reading my own things. But anyway, if you have opened Matthew 25, you are still with me. After so we have these guys have received the money, and now it's about time, according to their ability. Then he went on his journey. The man who had received 5 bags of gold went at once and put his money. Now, that at once is important to us today, because we are talking about time value of money. Multiplication has time. So if you do not do at once, so some of you have gotten a job. Fine, it is not your dream job, but you've gotten a job that is according to your ability then. Instead of practicing the retention principle, you have cleared. I think, see, even you, God, you can understand. Now, in this one, now, how much tithe would I? Even you, this tithe, where now? Those are the kind of arguments you start having. This guy at once put his money to work and gained 5 more bags. So also, the one who had 2 bags of gold gained 2 more. But the man who had received 1 bag went off. Now, the guy who receives 2, even last week, hakuwa na kerere. He was not noisy. But the guy of the third, you just watch him. So this guy, he did not just sit. This guy went to work. But listen to the kind of work he did. But the man who received 1 went off, dug a hole in the ground. Unajua kazi ya kuchimba mashimo? Do you know how hard that work is? You sweat. So this guy, when you look at them from face value, he looks busy. He looks sweaty. He has been digging a hole. To do what? To put his bag of gold. And that's what some of us do. We pick, tunatafuta mashimo. You don't understand an investment. Unasikia ati quills zinakuliwa sijui China. Yani with everything. Umepeleka pesa kwa quill. What a shock. Seriously. Yani, by the way, the thing came to me. I was told the ultimate of the things is here. Quill. See, what is a quill? A quill is a small bird. So what is it doing? It is healing all diseases under the earth. Oh, really? Has it started? No, it has been doing. So it is China. So me, I said, I want to see the guys buying from China. Because I cannot get into a business I don't understand the demand. So we were busy creating, Papa Kiro ameweka, sijui Riga, naye amesikia, naye anamwambia nipati. So there was a lot of demand. Then all of us ended up with quails. Then now we are asking each other, so tulikuwa tuzipeleke wapi? Then now you realize, this thing was not for you. And those things could eat. You were just giving them, animal feed from the shops. Now, you said, I cannot do this anymore. You open for them. They are used to being fed. They walk around, then they come back and wait for food. Let me tell you, if you visited a quail farmer then, you ate those birds. You would go and everyone is being served a whole quail in the plate, a whole quail. There was nothing like quarter chicken, a whole quail, you start whichever side you want, Then we just realized that this quail thing was just quail, We didn't understand. People digging holes. So this guy was busy. He dug a hole in the ground and hid his master's money. Na akagojea aseme goja tumeomoka. This is it. I'm not with you guys anymore. When I sell these quails, where? Me, I'm gone. After a long time, the master of those servants returned and settled accounts with them. The man who had received 5 bags of gold brought the other 5. Master, he said, you entrusted me with 5 bags of gold. See, I have gained 5 more. He comes and truly so, you agree you have made 5 more. You deserve some kerere, isn't it? Yeah, so you get guys like Quincy, those guys who can hype, hype. Hey, 5 more, they bring, but anyway, they deserve it. It is true. So his master replied, well done, good and faithful servant. You have been faithful with a few. I'll put you in charge of many things. Come and share in your master's happiness. And imagine that from none other than the president. Good and faithful servant, you've been going to State House girls. Come and join. I'll put you in charge of many more. Something like all the schools in Nairobi County, Papa Kiro. They are, in the master's happiness. Last week, we saw that he was made in charge of 10 more cities. But here, Matthew is telling us, he join master's happiness, and he will be told he'll be made in charge of more. And then the man with the 2 bags of gold also came, and master said, he said, you entrusted me with 2 bags of gold. See, I have gained more. This guy has no kerere, but he's doing great things. So you gave me 2. I have made 2 more. I have not even reached the 5, but at least I have done what? Done my multiplication. Now, some of us are the people who have been given 2. But we lost focus. We are looking. Why did he get 5? I am not coming from here. This guy, why did he get 5? You must give me the answer. I do almost the same job. Why did you give him 5? Sitoki hapa. What are you doing with your talents? Once you get whatever God has placed in your hands, get at once, put them to work. Nevertheless, we see here that you have been faithful with a few things. I will put you in charge of many things. Did you see that? When you're given the small, you put it to work, you multiply, then even if you've been in charge of small things, now you have qualified. You can come and join the many things. So don't get stuck with that which you consider small, even if you can feel your capacity is more. Be faithful with the little God has given you. So his master replied, well done, good and faithful servant. You have been faithful with a few things. I will put you in charge of many things. Come and share your master's happiness. Then the man who had received 1 bag of gold came. Master, he said, I knew you are a hard man. Now listen. Excuses. Kerere. I know you are a hard man. Now, where did the hardness come from now? Who has asked about whether you are hard or soft? You know, I mean, but look, that's this. I knew you are what? And now that he knows this, the Lord or the master was a hard man, then he comes and you see he's still going on. I knew you were a hard man, harvesting where you have not sown and gathering where you have not scattered seed. So I was afraid and went out and hid your gold in the ground. See, here is what belongs to you. His master replied, now listen to these ones. You, what? Wicked, lazy, servant. You knew that I harvest where I have not sown and gather where I have not scattered seed. Well then, you should have put my money on deposit with the bankers so that when I return, I would receive it with interest. So take that bag of gold from him and give it to the one who has 10 bags. For whoever has more will be given more, and they will have an abundance. Whoever does not have, even what they have will be taken from them. And throw that worthless servant outside into the darkness, where there will be weeping and gnashing of. Father, we thank you for your word. We acknowledge that indeed this is a word in season. You are encouraging us, even as we look at the multiplication principle, that indeed, God, that you want us to be multipliers. You want us to be agents of your kingdom, and you want us to demonstrate that which you have put in our hands. So we thank you, we give you glory, we give you honor. In Jesus' name. Now, some of you are thinking the preaching is finished. We are just starting. But I know there is Soko Sunday, so don't worry about Soko Sunday. I want to finish this conversation. Now, today we want to concentrate on this guy, the third guy. This third guy did what most of us do. Most of us don't understand these investment stories. They don't understand the many things about money, and they decide, if I just live a life that I'm quiet, I am sisubui mtu, I'm not eating anybody's money, in fact, I'm not even in debt, me, I'm just good. I'll be okay. But what are the names you have been told? You will be told. You are wicked, you are lazy, you are... Sio mimi, ni Bible. Some of us are not consumers. We are very frugal. We know how to do those budgets, but we even accumulate a lot of money in our accounts. Can I put it to you that if you had 1,000 bob in 2021 May, today, the 1,000 bob is worth 29% less. It's worth 71% of value. So, it means for you to be able to do the same thing 1,000 could do in 2021, today, you needed to have put your 1,000 in a place where it is earning a minimum of 14.5% return for you to be the barest. And that's where the fifth servant is getting his result. He's being called wicked because now he's bringing the same amount of money that he hid in the ground, and this money is worth less. The banks today are giving between 3 and 5% if you put your money in savings. And they have I personally had 2 of my accounts converted from saving to current without being asked. You know, when the rules changed, they did not want money in their savings. Respect to all bankers here. So, what we are saying here is that kingdom stewardship over money means that we multiply what God gives us, and the way we multiply money is through investing in assets. Now we are almost getting into a big class. Assets and liabilities. Now look at the things that you spend your money on. Are you spending your money on things that give you back money into your pocket, or are you spending your money on things that are removing money from your pocket? That's what an asset brings money, liability removes money. For some of us, because you have a vehicle whose logbook is in Sam Kibara's name, this is my asset. Does it bring money in, or does it remove money from me? For some of us, it's just an instrument to take me to office. I could have used, even if I used an Uber the whole month, I would have spent less. So I would still have gotten to the office. It is a liability. But how much information do we have about what is happening around us? Because God keeps time and again. Today, there are people who don't have time for, can you go to Soko Sunday? Just walk around, find out what is happening. Just find out, talk to those people. They won't bite, I promise. They won't force you to buy. You can promise you'll buy. And please, when you promise, please keep your vow. But go out and find out what is happening. Support these people. Buy even if you don't need. You're supporting the kingdom. You're being generous. Those people took time to actually come and display. Some of them are anxious. They don't know whether there is anybody who will buy anything from them. You're not even talking to them. Just get to know. I've already gone through half of them, so please do. Now, in Deuteronomy 8:18, it says, remember the Lord your God, for it is He who gives you the ability to produce wealth. So He gives us the ability to produce wealth. He does not give us wealth. He gives us the ability to produce wealth. So it means whatever has been placed in your hands, what are you doing with it? How much financial literacy are you gaining? Some of us are very indifferent. We don't even know. We don't know what is available. Some of us, when you get to that page, today I did not carry the business daily. It's my friend. You have no idea what, there is a page that is full of graphs. Have you ever looked at it? It tells you who is gaining in terms of the stocks and everything, and it gives you even global, not only Kenya. But when you reach there, it's not a story. Because haina picture. You know, and we are not educating ourselves. As we sit here. You know, this past week was actually my birthday week. So I actually turned a year older. Yes. And the M-Pesa number is still open. It will be put on there. Anyway, so one of the things that so you take time to reevaluate yourself. I don't know where some of you know that this season we are in is perhaps the lowest the Nairobi Stock Exchange has ever been in the last 10 years. Stocks have been devalued seriously. The Safaricom share this week was 14.95, 15 bob. In December of 2013, Safaricom share was 13 shillings and 80 cents. So what happens when stocks are low? What happens if you are a multiplier? That's the time to take position. But it was nazikienda chini zaidi. Even when you plant some seeds, some don't germinate. Now, that's another sermon in terms of what type of soil. It's another sermon. We'll come back. But the thing is, there are some choice stocks. Look at what is happening in the world. The world is going green energy. So who is looking like he's looking green energy? What can I do with their stock? Do you know what has happened to the stock of these guys called Zoom? when COVID hit, it increased 100 times. So those are some of the areas that we can actually, we as Christians also need to be part of the marketplace. We need to play the game there. We need to educate ourselves on what is happening. Money market funds, we have talked about. Never put your money on savings. Yeah, it visits the saving on its way to the money market. Those money market things, the funds, some of them you don't need to leave your seat. You can open that account where you are seated. That earns interest daily and it is compounded every month. And that is all money markets. In fact, I know at least 2 people who do money markets in this congregation. As in, they are the ones they are the kind of people who will call for that seminar so that they can come and talk. One of them is actually Rina. She was in the video last week. She is a member of this congregation. There are opportunities, people. We don't need to go out of there. You can invest 1,000 in money markets. 1,000. You start your journey now. So I want to summarize, because we are reminded in 2 Corinthians 9:6, whoever sows sparingly will also reap sparingly, and whoever sows generously will reap generously. Verse 10 says, now he who supplies seed to the sower and bread for food will also supply and increase your store of seed and will enlarge the harvest of your righteousness. So if we were to look at that from even our main, our topic of the day, when we are thinking about finances, we are saying that God is going to put resources in your hands. He is the one who will even multiply your seed. But don't eat the seed. It is a seed. It is meant to be put in so that it can multiply. For an acre of land, you plant approximately 10 kilos of maize, but you harvest bags and bags of maize. So it is for us to look around us. Opportunities are there. That's why it is good to visit that Soko Sunday. Find out what is happening. And I said, even for me personally, I have done sometimes some foolish things. Those foolish things that turn out to actually look like you knew what you were doing, but you didn't. Some years ago, I just went and said, believed this foolish thing of, you retired. Exactly, you see. So, your people have reversed. Me, I will retire at 40. 40. So now, I saw 40 is here, and so I went to my employer and said, by the way, I'll be retiring. So they just looked at me and thought, you must be the most foolish animal around. But since I don't think I have the time to remove the foolishness from you, now the reason I was doing it 6 months before is because I wanted to see if they have any use for me. It was as, the way we have a sense of importance. The sense of importance. So I looked at, pondered a little and said, okay, that's all right. 6 months. So first I dealt with myself. You mean I was that dispensable? And he is saying, okay. At around the same time, I gave the example. My daughter was here for first service. And we used to drop them to school. And when we dropped her to school, we would pray this prayer, when they were very young. So we'd pray, please help them to understand everything they are taught by their teachers in school and all that. See, it's a good prayer by a parent. So it was now I think she was like class 2. So she was now praying back. So we said, it is your turn to pray. Like a good parent, teaching a child how to. So this child now went on and said, now it's around this time when I have told my boss I want to retire. I'm not even saying resign. Anyway. So I'm saying, so my daughter says, Lord help us, blah, 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 blah. Then reaches the point of, please help our parents. Then she realized we don't go to school. So she can't pray to understand what they are being taught. So she hid a bit, then she said, help our parents to understand what they are doing. So that sounded to me like the Holy Spirit had just spoke. Do you know what you are doing? You know, do you understand what you are doing? You are saying you are retiring. Do you even understand? But anyway, God is faithful. I ended up somewhere, and God has blessed me, and I've not gotten back to employment, and God has shown me. And in this subject of, as we continue, the subject of multiplication, there are a few things that we need to put in mind. One is that we need to be faithful with a few. Whatever God gives us, we need to be faithful with a few. We need to understand the seed principle. Because a seed is meant to be sown so that it can multiply. And the third thing is that we need to invest in things that you understand. Wachana na kwel. And in Kenya, there is always a quail-like business. Even now. You'll always be this rosy thing you think heaven has come. In terms of money and investment, understand the things you invest in. Understand that if you create your wealth slowly by slowly, it will get there. It will be sustainable. Plan your investments. If you invest diligently, you'll get there, and a step at a time. Seek wise counsel. Do not procrastinate. Asa, hii pesa ya kuinvest sasa utatoa wapi? Wacha nione. Next year, nita invest mtaniona. You know, you will see. We are here. Today is next year of last year. You know that? Today is next year of. So what did you promise us last year when we said vaccinate your money? Don't tell me. There are some 4 things I want to share with you. One is master your time and how you use it. You know, you said this thing of that time is money. But time is more valuable than money. You can't multiply your time, but you can use it well, and you can multiply money using your time. So invest in your time and educate yourself about money and things. And Proverbs 24:3-4 says, by wisdom a house is built. Through understanding it is established. Through knowledge its rooms are filled with rare and beautiful treasures. So it is not enough for you to just build a house. It is through understanding, through knowledge, that it will actually grow and multiply. And I was telling people that money from multiplication, people, is sweet. Ni tamu. You know, like a sausage. You know, the real original sausage, when it is hot. You know how nice, and you know, money is sweet. I was giving an example. I said, when I was younger, because mortgage ilikuwa imenilalia. You know, it's heavy. I'm paying huge money. So I decided to build some 2-bed-sitters behind my house. Now, when I put the 2-bed-sitters behind my house, each bed-sitter was going for 4,500. Don't ask which age that was. But anyway, 4,500, and there were 2. So how much is the rent? But before you count 9,000, when the tenant is coming in, there is something called what? Deposit. A deposit is 1 month. So how much is my money? 18,000. Then now by then there was deposit for water, deposit for what. So it was coming to something like, I think 25,000. Let me tell you, that is the time I understood the sweetness of multiplication money. Hiyo pesa ilikuwa tamu. It was sweet. Lent money. It was so sweet, I did not put it together with the rest of the money. So that I eat it slowly. You know how you know how you have a bar of chocolate. You know you have a bar of chocolate like this. It's divided into many cubes like this. When you crack like this, in a tokabiri, you crack it again like this, so that now you eat on that piece so that it goes down. You know what I mean? Are you getting? That's how sweet that thing was. And not to imagine, as I am eating, The guys in my house must be looking for money to pay me next month. How is that? Oh, what a shock! What a shock! Money from multiplication is sweet. Forget about seed. Seed had haina taste. Have you ever tried to cook githeri with, the maize seed? The green one? Ebu try. Now you will die. Because that's a pesticide. Maize is put in pesticide so that when it is planted, it is not eaten with weevils. But you cannot eat that. It doesn't have taste. Wait until you plant it. And there's some green maize. And then that maize is boiled. Or chomwad. Roasted, grilled. If, for Mawuno downtown, grilled maize is grilled. It is sweet. It is sweet. It is nothing compared to the green things that were planted. So people, grab this multiplication thing. Grab it. Don't eat the seed. Start now. That's number 2. Start now. This story of I will when, no. God will bless you. God has done miraculous things in my life. I wish I had time to tell you. There are many more. That was just the start. I'll tell you, including getting bankrupt. When these guys were coming to my house in 2013, 2014, as couples, they have come as couples. 7, were you 7 couples or 5? 4 couples. Serious guys, they are all married. They are coming to get counsel from me. At that point, getting bankrupt. My business of over 10 years. When I was getting to somewhere saying, you know me, now I think I'm a master of this thing. Kaput. And I owe people. But God turned the equation around within 6 months. 6 months. The equation was turned around. And from then, I learned my thing. Diversify your investments. That's when I learned. I used to import cars. I used to tell people, anybody who knows a car called a Toyota Starlet. I was telling my wife, I supplied half of the Starlets in Nairobi. And I would see them, even that one I brought. I did good business. All that business went up in smokes. I was left with one car, which was old. Diversify your investment. I realized business can go up in smoke in one day. I learned my lesson. I learned to diversify. Today, I have at least diversified. If this is not, you can go to the other. And the last thing is aim to create passive income. Passive income. Income that comes to you, whether you go to work or you don't, you can sleep and the income is coming. Rent is a good example. Dividends is another example. Royalties is another example. Those are passive income. Please, invest in those. Create that. The only way to assure yourself of a retirement that you do not have to change your style of life is to create a passive income that is equal to your active income and only live on one. Mark that. If you have built some houses and you are collecting rent, and then you have your income from your employment and you are eating the whole of it, then you need to create a passive income equal to all these for you to maintain your style of life past retirement. Start now. Don't eat your seed. Create passive income. Ecclesiastes 10:15 says, the labor of a fool so wears him because he's ignorant, but he does not even know how to get to the city. And that is borrowed from the reading that we had just read about getting into the city. So we are here and we are talking about multiplication. And maybe for some of us, we are in a space we are saying, I have had all these things, but I'm struggling with saving. I've had all these things, but I'm struggling with debt. I don't even know where to start. I've heard about multiplication, but Sam, do you understand? You know, who does not have a loan in this day and age? If I multiply, I just multiply the debts. But the multiplication we are talking about today is a multiplication that is going to help us to reach the kingdom. Pastor Kevin has just told us about the great things they are doing. We were with the State House girls here in the morning. Great things they are doing. That is just State House girls. Do you understand how many girls' schools are in this city? How do we multiply that if we do not discuss issues of resources here? How do we change the politics of this country if we cannot control the resources? I put it to you, we must get to the seat. And the way to get to the seat is to get to somewhere where you are of substance, including that politics. They need for you to be able to call a governor, and even if he is in a meeting with the president, he goes under the seat and says, Papa Kiro, nitakupigia. You know, as in he cannot ignore you or whatever. You must have played a part. You cannot just be, I prayed for him. It is good to pray for him. But there are people who control how things go. And I tell you, those people are in charge of resources. There's no way we are going to be in charge of resources if we do not multiply. If we continue eating the seed, yes, God has favored most of us here in downtown. We have reasonable resources coming into our hands. What are you doing with those resources? Are we eating the seed? Do we understand the seed principle? Do we understand the multiplication principle? So today, as we come to the close of this conversation, we want to actually put these, those things we were saying about faith. I was actually sharing and saying, one time I went to visit someone, a relative, and I was told the plots being sold here, you can go to this office. So I decided to do a foolish thing because I didn't have even the money. So I went to that place. When I was seated in the office, I was asked for my ID so that they can do the agreement and everything. As they were seated there, the owner of the business, the lead partner of that, because it was a Varua, walked in and said, by the way, those plots in Juja, the owners of that land have actually said that we are no longer going to sell those plots for 600. They will now be sold from now on for 750. And by then now my agreement is being done. So now the person who was helping me told me, wait a minute, let me go in. So going in, negotiated, came back and said, okay, the boss has said that you are the last one for 600. So we will type and you are the last one who does. So me seated, doing a foolish thing. I had just made 150,000 seated on somebody's else office. And as the person who was typing was telling me, that's why I like Rand. That's why, but it's about the multiplication. That's one in 2008. The other day, because my relative still lives there, I have not done anything with that piece of land apart from re-establishing beacons. Those things of you have to keep visiting your kaprot. You're still going around the kaprot. I was saying, by the way, have you ever thought of disposing it? Okay. What's going on? Our guy is here from Sijui, who are looking for a piece of land. So how much would I? Now you are trying to size yourself up. Micah 600. So how much? Well, maybe 6.5. Kama uko na haraka 6. Sinikuwe na haraka. I don't know. I don't know where you're getting the story. The story is you have to put the seed in the ground. It will not multiply. Even if I kept that money in the money market, it would not be 6 million today. And I'm not saying money market is bad. Money market is to help you to reach another goal as you go, diversify. There is a guy here who is doing off-brands. Go look, see. Discuss. He is a member of this congregation by virtue of he is in Sokosade. Even if he doesn't come here every day, talk to him. Tell him, so now that I am here, so how much would you multiply? And so that I leave you with the time to go for Soko Sunday, we want to pray for the things. You know those foolish things. You need to believe in something. You have to hold something and believe in it. So I don't know where your journey is. For some of you, it's a tender. If this tender goes through, I'm good. For another one is saying, I need to start building my retirement home. For another one, I need to get into saving. I don't know what it is. I don't know what symbol you carried. Last week we talked about carry something that symbolizes your journey. And I want to give you a time. Get out your phone. Type whatever it is. Or if you have a notebook, write it down and say, what is it you're trusting God that this is where my journey is going to start from now on? What is that thing? Because I want us to pray together and then we can go to Soko Sunday. What are those things that you're trusting God to do? And as you think, type it, do it something so that at least then we can be saying, I trusted God for a home. Papa Kiro, I have a home. I trusted God for that tender. The tender went through. I trusted God that I would no longer be in debt. I am now debt free. Whatever it is that you want to trust God for, even as we begin to talk about this multiplication, I pray that God is going to help us. And I'm going to ask us that as we do that, we be upstanding so that we pray for these things, because we are trusting that God is going to make Mavuno and even Mavuno downtown an economic powerhouse. We want to be an economic powerhouse. We want to be able to be at the table where decisions are being made. We want to do that. So as we prayerfully consider the things that we have written down or put together, I just want to ask that you may prayerfully ask God to begin to make you a multiplier, to begin to make you a retainer, a creator with him, a co-creator with him, to begin to help you to appropriate that what you have, it's God who owns. You are just managing. Father God, I want to pray for the dear ones who are here. I want to thank you that, Father, today you appointed that they will be seated here listening to this message. That, Father, as we have spoken about multiplication, there could be people who are here who are saying, what do I multiply? But they have decided to pick on something and say, this is what I present to you, God. To them, it's a business plan. I don't have a business, but I lift up and I say, next year, I want to have a business. I want to have a side hustle. Show me, give me knowledge, give me insight. For others, they have a project. They are holding on to project. They are saying, God, thrive. Make me thrive in this project. Multiply me. For others, they just want a small thing. They want, Lord, multiply my resources so that I can get out of debt. For others, they are saying it's the education. I want to be able to finish my education. And whatever it is that each and every one of us is holding today, Father, I pray that you would thrive. You will help us. You would guide us. And you will make us multipliers for your kingdom. For we pray this in Jesus' name. And even as Papa Kiro is coming, I want to pray for a group of people. And this group is all of us. For some of us, we are saying, I am hard-pressed. I'm nowhere near even understanding this message. This message is hard for me. I feel like I have been stepped on my toes. I feel like I cannot even think because I'm hard-pressed by financial issues. I want to pray together. Father God, look at this, your servant. Some of them are not able to comprehend even what is going on. Indeed, for some of them, they need a relationship with you. First and foremost, you as the Master, Lord of Lords, Savior and King, so that they can begin to apply these kingdom principles. I pray that this be the day that they give their lives to Christ. I pray that for those who are just hard-pressed, that this is the day
that they begin to experience ease. I pray, Father, that indeed as we have come to the end of this series, that your word will not come back with nothing. I pray for these ones that as they go into the week, Father, may you make them multipliers, may you make them creators, and may you make them the best version of themselves according to your purposes in glory. For indeed we pray this, trusting and believing in Jesus' name we pray. Amen. Thank you and thank you.